was the looks you would get.
I could imagine.
Like you go on the trail and you pass somebody and it's like you'll get the person that just kind of looks and they're even like afraid to ask you. And then you have the other person that's like, what are you doing? Did you lose your boots? Or like, do you need help? Like one of those people. And then there's the other people who are like, heck yeah, I can't believe you're doing it this way. And all of them were great for me, but the ones that were like, heck yeah, like keep going, like this is really cool. That motivated me more even than myself, because I feel like I'm kind of starting something new.
I definitely think so.
Not that it's not been done before, but now the way I've kind of put it out in social media, and by the end of it, and we'll get to that as we keep going, because that was, like I said, this one was the first one I kind of felt people recognizing me on it, because I kind of got a lot of pushback with it at first. I'm not someone that likes to share a bunch of, about myself. I just kind of like to do it, but I was like, I feel like I need to document this, and that's why on Cascade, I took the initiative to post in the Adirondack Backcountry group. I'm pretty sure you know what that is.
Definitely.
I posted it the first day, and a bunch of people were like, wow, this is so cool. And then there was a few people like, oh, can't wait to see 45 more, which kind of was and still in the back of my mind was like a motivation. Like, oh yeah, I'm going to show you 45
sure.
more.
I love that.
It was like, actually that person, I don't want to put the name out there, but I don't even know who it was. But when they said it, it was kind of like a snarky comment to me. And I was like, good. Every high peak is like, hey, here comes 5 more, right?
Yes,
here comes 5 more
that.
Yeah. So that kind of that motivation of finally seeing the recognition of it, because at first, like I said, when I started putting it out there, they thought it was cool. Then when I got up to like 10 or so, I started getting a lot of, and I understand this and I want to address this. That's why I'm bringing it up. About, the ranger situation and the rescue things and like how I'm putting, people at risk and myself and all of this. And I get that. Like, I get that. But until you've done it, first of all, you don't know who I am. I'm someone that would crawl myself out. Like, and that's why I brought my boots. I brought my medikit. Like, I'm going to get myself out. That's my goal. And if I did hurt my foot, I would just look at it as another challenge of I'm going to get out. Kind of like Cliff and Redfield, where when I did rip my toenail off, I was upset about it, but then I kind of reassessed, and it made it even more of an accomplishment that I made it out with that injury, instead of just it being the way it would have been if I hadn't had the injury. So when people were talking to me about it, I'm like, first of all, you don't know me, and I'm not going to put rangers at risk. Obviously, I wouldn't, if I was in a position where I really needed something, I would do that, but I'm not being reckless on this. So I guess it bothered me a little bit, where I felt like, okay, maybe I shouldn't have been posting this. Like, I don't want to put out there something that people shouldn't be doing or any of that. But then I was like, no, I'm going to stand up for myself, and I'm going to do this my way. Cause honestly, I used to going on the trails, I was listening to Frank Sinatra's My Way. That was kind of like my mantra going through this.
Cool.
So I put out there, said, listen, I bring my boots. I'm a doctor. I have a medikit, and I am prepared to do this. I know what I'm doing, and I think there's a way to do this a safe way, or at least eliminate as many options or as many variables as you can. But after that, when I finally got to that place on that Marcy Gray Skylight Tabletop, people started to be like, yeah. I stopped getting the negative at that point.
Yeah,
That was the stopping point of the negative, and it started to be a lot of positive, because I think people started rooting for me instead of putting me down.
Yeah, the respect level at that point, just doing that hike in general, is insanely respectable. But yeah, at that point you're showing like, wow, he's doing it.
Yeah,
and he's crushing it.
You're right. It was more like, and earlier it was like, oh, this guy's just out there doing something crazy and stupid, and he's going to hurt himself, and he's being reckless and not thinking of it. But then I think once I did that one, it kind of proved that, okay, maybe he does know what he's doing, and I want to support this guy. So ever since that hike, every hike afterwards, and let me just pull out, because I'm sorry I didn't memorize exactly which one it is.
I also want to, while you're looking that up, I want to say, when people are complaining about you doing something that are going to potentially make rangers have to come get you, anybody that ever goes out into the backcountry is at risk for a ranger having to come get you.
Thank
you
you.
cannot predict anything.
Yeah.
So for people to give other people crap for this or that, I don't care if you're a 6-time 46er or your first high peak. You go out there, anything could happen. Those mountains don't give a damn about you. You can hurt yourself. You are always at risk. So to like kind of spew this like venom on people that you're at risk when you go out there, I'm not, but you are, is completely wrong. And it drives me insane, but that's for a whole nother conversation.
It is, but you know, I kind of thrive on that. It really did. It was like, okay, I'm going to show you, not show you in a way of like, just to show you, I'm going to show you that like, no, I really did take this into consideration. I didn't just go out there. Like I said, I've been hiking these since I've been 9 years old. I had an amazing mentor. It's not like I went out there not knowing what I was getting into.
Sure.
I knew what I was getting into, and I accepted it, and I prepared for it, and I loved every second of it.
That's amazing.
So the next one I did was this one was not a solo hike. This one was with Rhiannon. So she hadn't done Colvin Blake, Nipple Top, and Dial. And we did all 4. Mm-hmm. It was a long day, but yeah, at that point, that was at the point where I felt like, okay, I'm good at this. After the last one, I kind of had that little bit of like.
I would have said that a long time ago into your trip that you're good at this. By continuing.
No, I didn't, because I was learning, but I felt that little bit of encouragement from that couple on Phelps. Like they're like, you did the Phelps, like this whole thing, and then they said like, oh my God, you did all of those, and we just did Phelps. Like that little bit, like really. And the fact that they knew who I was because they had been following me really touched me, and I felt like I was doing something. Like I felt like I was really inspiring people.
You are, absolutely.
And after that, I felt like, okay, now I'll give it myself as a veteran. How's that? Like I'll say I'm a veteran to this. So Colvin Blake, Dial, and Nipple Top, I feel like I did that like it was like I wasn't barefooting. I felt like not that I wasn't barefooting, but I felt like I would have felt if I had done it with boots on. That was the first hike I was like, I wasn't even impressed by myself doing it barefoot. I was just like, I did this hike.
It was just a normal hike.
It was just a normal hike. Yes. It was the first time I felt like it was a normal hike. And we got to the bottom. Rhiannon had done a wonderful job because that's a big day. And I kind of want to do a little disclaimer on her because I'm so proud of her. She started this journey 4 years ago. Or was it? Yeah, it was a little over 4 years ago. It was 2016, I believe. We opened the practice up, and 6 days before we opened the practice, we had some family friends that were going to hike Whiteface up from the landing. They had a boat, so it was on Lake Placid. I was like, oh, Rhiannon, if we have the chance to do this, like I've always wanted to hike Whiteface from the landing. So we went out there with our friend, and we went up there. It was my mom, my friend Lisa, and Rhiannon and myself. And we went up Whiteface that way, and we got to the top, and, Rhiannon this was her first high peak, Whiteface. I mean, she has never hiked more than like, I would say, I think we hiked Owl's Head once, basically. And she did wonderful. And I was like, do you want to go to Esther? I'm like, if you want to do high peaks, like, we should not, if we're already up here, let's go do it. And she was like, yeah, let's do it. And the other ones were like, I don't know if she can do that. I was like, no, you can do that. So we did it, and we got to the point. So she had done her whole journey up to this, and this was I think we had, I think she had like 15 or 14 left for this year of those 4 years going up forward. So just kind of give a little backstory on her because we both finished this year, and I'll get into that as we go forward. But I'm so impressed with how, she goes into Whiteface not knowing anything about the Adirondacks. And by the time like Cliff and Redfield came about this time and a few of the other ones, she was able to leave me behind because going on the down, like I had to go slower, and she just wanted to get out, and I get that. But she was able to navigate her way out, and I think now she's a real Adirondack, 46'er, and
awesome.
I'm super proud of her. Like I really am. I'm more proud of her than I am myself.
It's a huge accomplishment.
It is.
It's a life-changing accomplishment.
It's a life-changing.
Anyone that does it.
Yeah, it really is. And it's, I'll get into the haystack thing in a minute. I've been saving haystack since I was 9 years old. I gotta pull up the Burnside. I think it's Burnside who wrote the book. It was the Adirondack 46'ers, and I read that book probably 5 times when I was from 9 to like 11 years old. And in there, he talks about the view from Haystack. It's like you got Marcy right there, Panther Gorge. Yeah, it's a hard one to get into, but it's so rewarding. And ever since I read, I think the quote was, no one does it first, but no one understands that they should save it for last. Or something like that. And when I read that, I was like, I'm saving it for last. I'm going to save that one for last, but I'm going to do it with my soulmate. And I have done most of them 4 or 5 times, but I haven't done that one until this year. Okay. So I'll get into that as we go forward. So after Colvin and Blake, we did. Let's see here. The next one. This one was maybe my bigger one. This was a little different than most people do it. Because this is when I was like, okay, I can do this, and I'm going to get this done as fast as I can. So I did Big Slide, and then Saddleback, Gothics, Armstrong, Upper, and Lower Wolf Jaw.
All in one day?
One day.
So Big Slide, Saddleback,
Yep.
Gothics,
Yep.
Armstrong, and just Upper Wolf Jaw?
Upper and Lower.
Upper and Lower. Oh,
yeah. And I went down Benny's Brook Slide, too.
That's a day.
That is a day. That was my favorite day because of the challenge and how I did it. One of our patients lives right in Keene Valley, right by the garden there, and she has this little hut for guests, and she let me come and stay there, which was so cool. So I got a kind of a head start. I think I started at like 3 a.m, and I went up the Brothers. I was on top of Big Slide before sunrise, and I went down, we're to John's Book Lodge there, and then went up the Orbed Trail, hit Saddleback, Gothics, and I just, kept going. And at that point, like I said, people were starting to recognize me. So, like, my hike started taking longer, not because of my barefoot. It was more like talking to people. Cool, like, I feel like I could recite the story in my head. Like, everyone was like, hey, you're the barefoot guy. Like, let's talk. Sure. Yeah, and they wanted to talk and hear my story. And I think I inspired a few of them and it wasn't my story that inspired them. It's really Father Allen's story that inspires people. The fact that he was in his 70s at the time, hiking all 46 peaks, and this was his motivation afterwards. And he's in his 90s now, still skiing and hiking.
That's incredible. Absolutely incredible.
It really was. And I think that was my, the drive to see people excited about what I was doing and doing something different. And also to see what he did for me, where he shared this, and now I'm taking it to the next level. I feel like I am. It's something I really, really enjoy doing, and I can't wait to do it again next year.
That's awesome.
So then after that one, so that was a big day.
What was the real quick before we go on to the next peak? What was the cable route up Gothics like for your feet?
Loved it.
Was it fast? Because
super
it's
fast.
Okay.
Yep. The steeper it is, the better I do going up. Honestly, going up is my favorite thing now. I used to be the person, I hated the ups with boots on. Not hated, I shouldn't say it that way. It was my most challenging thing, was the ups with boots. Now, opposite. I can't wait to go up. The more up I can do, the better it is. So going up the cables was really cool. Got up Gothics. And then the Benny's Brook Slide thing was that I didn't plan on doing. I always wanted to do it.
Sure.
Hadn't gone up it before. I don't really know many people who've gone down it, but I was like, I looked at it like the Macomb Slide. I was like, I know it's granite rock. It's something I can see, and I know what it's going to feel like, and I think I can get down faster that way than going down the other way. So I was like, I didn't even really know how to find it. I was like, I think I can figure it out. So I started going down, and I found out where the little herd path was to go down in. And once I got there, I was like, wow, this place is beautiful. It was like the sun was coming down, and if you've done it before, it's like once it gets to a certain point, it's like the sun's on half the slide, and then the other slide is a half in shade. And at the point, it was a hot day, so I was super excited to have the shade on the left side there. And I went down it, and I went down that faster than any of the other downs. And I think it was because I chose to do that where it was just straight granite, and it wasn't these little stones or roots you needed to worry about. I could actually go like I had shoes on.
Sure. You just go fast.
You can just go because you know what it's going to feel like, as opposed to if it's a trail, you got to kind of be a little easier when you're on your way down and feeling what your feet's going to feel like and what the ground's going to be like. Mm-hmm. That was a really cool experience on the way down from there.